Hi, welcome to AE Help's IELTS test preparation videos. This material is taken from www.aehelp.com. For more videos like this and for lots more help with the IELTS, please visit us there and join the full course. That's www.aehelp.com. Okay, in this video, we're going to continue from part 1 of understanding and planning for task 2, writing of the academic IELTS. And for this, we're going to continue using, of course, the example question that we started with in the understanding and planning. And the question is, writing task 2. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Okay, so we are going to begin with the introduction paragraph, or the introductory paragraph, of course. So this is academic IELTS, writing task 2. Okay, so this is the introductory paragraph. And of course, the first part of the introductory paragraph is the hook. Remember that the hook is a simple but interesting statement that's related to the topic and controlling idea of the question. Sometimes you might hear that it's a question like, should universities accept equal numbers of men and women in each major? I disagree with this. I don't think it's a good idea to do that. The goal of an essay is to answer a question, not to ask a question. Usually it's a better idea to avoid questions in an essay, especially I think as a hook. Instead, try to create a statement that makes the reader go, huh, or wow, or really, or that's interesting, or oh, is that so, or yeah, I've heard that before. So that kind of a response will get your reader interested. You should have that response to your own hook, and then your reader will have the same response. A good way to know is if the hook doesn't make it interesting for you, it probably won't make it interesting for your reader either. So again, create a hook that makes you go, huh, or wow. All right, so we're dealing with universities here. Visualize, imagine what does it mean to be a university? What is the goal of university? What would society be without universities? And these kinds of ideas and questions will help you to come up with a good hook. Something like this. So indent 5 spaces. It's a new paragraph. It's a rule of the structure that you need a 5-space indent, and then begin with your hook. Of course, don't write this during the exam. You just simply write the paragraph. This is just for your learning. Okay, so universities are the source of cultural evolution for society. Okay, it's a simple sentence. Notice it's not a complex or not a compound sentence. I don't suggest using long, complex compound sentences for your hook. Why? Because if you make a mistake in your hook, it's a really bad first impression. You don't want to do that. It will lead to a low score. So keep it simple, keep it interesting, and keep it correct, okay? That's very, very important. It's a good, strong first impression. Okay, then after the hook, of course, we go to the background information. So, background. And for the background, remember that there are two smaller parts that make up the background or the context in an essay. Firstly, you want to make sure that you explain your definition or your understanding of key terms to your readers. So in this case, what is your understanding of what is a university, or what is your understanding of equal numbers of men and women? And then secondly, you need to tell your reader why this topic is important. So why should it be paid attention to? Why should it be discussed further? You hooked them, you got them interested. Now tell them why it's important to discuss this. So these two parts should make up the background. For the IELTS, it's okay to have one or maximum two sentences for each of these components. All right, so first of all, let's go with some definitions. So universities are the source of cultural evolution for society. The institution of university is responsible for advancing generations through higher level education and research. Okay, and then again, remember, let's not go off track here. So we need to stay on path with the controlling idea and the question specifically. That's very, very important. So let's get back to this equal number of men and women. Some individuals believe that universities should encourage equality among men and women by accepting equal numbers into every subject. Okay, so again, we're using the information from the part one of the planning stage of this essay. Okay, so we have the hook, we have the background. Now the final part of the introduction is the thesis statement. And of course, we're just simply going to write the thesis statement at the end here that we were able to generate from the planning. So that's the last part of the introductory paragraph, and then we can go on to the body paragraph. So simply just add the thesis statement. Although gender equality is important. I believe that universities should admit students into each major according to their grades and interests. All right, so this is our thesis statement. And notice that there are two points that are clearly distinct. This is very important in your thesis to have two clearly separate points, grades and interests. And also notice that they're parallel forms, so they're both nouns. They're not preceded by adjectives, they're not phrases or anything like that. So it's the same grammar form for each point. That's very important. Okay, now that we have our introductory paragraph and a good strong thesis, we can develop the body paragraphs using these 2 points. So that's what we're going to do next. So let's continue on with the body paragraph. So body paragraph 1. And of course, again, you don't need to write that during the exam. Just indent 5 spaces, okay? And then begin with your topic sentence. So remember that the first sentence of a body paragraph is the topic sentence. So topic sentence. The topic sentence needs to include the first point of your thesis. In our case, it's grades, which decide the admission into a major. So that's what we need to express here. So again, it's a good idea to paraphrase these words to make it just more interesting and more descriptive. So so academic scores should be used by universities to decide which applicants are admitted into a specific major, regardless of their gender. Okay, so sometimes students will use leading expressions like firstly or importantly. It's okay to do that, but again, remember, in the end, it's always information that connects information and not words like firstly, secondly. So your information has to be accurate. That's why I didn't use one here. So academic scores should be used by universities to decide which applicants are admitted into a specific major, regardless of gender. So here I'm taking the first point of my thesis and I'm emphasizing the topic and the controlling idea. And then of course the next step now is to explain what I have just said. So following the topic sentence is the explanation. All right, so here, obviously, I'm thinking about how universities do this, and I realize that certain majors, for example, medicine, require very high scores because there's very high responsibility for doctors and medical professionals, and therefore it's important before they're allowed into this major that they can show that they're very smart and able to handle this responsibility. So thinking about this allows me to write the explanation. So many majors require students to be hard working and smart. So the best way to see this is by checking their academic scores. Okay, so I'm starting to explain here what I mean by using grades and not gender to allow students into a specific major. It's still not completely clear, so to make it more clear, what I need to do now is write some kind of a specific example that represents the idea, what I'm talking about. And of course, again, continuously remembering the original question of universities should allow equal numbers of men and women into each major. To what extent do I agree? So I never forget the original question. Okay, so one more sentence here with the example. For instance, students who, and I'm using an adjective clause here. Remember, using adjective clauses is a very good idea. So for instance, students who wish to major in medicine must show high academic aptitude. Aptitude means ability for thinking here. So high academic aptitude because they will have much responsibility to take care of people's health. Okay, so I'm going to keep explaining here and following with this example. Why? Because I still need to refer back to the original question of gender equality. So let's continue a little bit more. Therefore, universities must consider grades rather than having the same number of men and women in this major, because gender does not necessarily reflect grades. Okay, so again, I referred back to the original question. To what extent do I agree? Obviously, here the reader or the examiner realizes that I don't really agree with this concept, because it's unrealistic to think that the grades are going to be one for one. It could be that 1 year many more women have higher grades when they graduate high school than men, and so more of them are allowed into the field of medicine. And another year it could be that more men have higher grades. So I make that clear, and that concludes my first point. Then I'm ready to move on to my second point, which is students' interest. So this last sentence not only refers back to the point 1 of the thesis, but it is also the concluding sentence for this paragraph. So again, this material was taken from www.aehelp.com. For lots more practice and more help with your writing, please visit us there and join the full course.